Hello and welcome to another booktube video from me, Lauren, from Lauren and the Books. And I've got my most autumnal coloured top on. I've got an autumnal corner with pumpkins, more pumpkins and further pumpkins, because today I'm going to be talking about my TBR for the upcoming readathon, the Autumn Readathon. Autumn Readathon. I was going to call it something. I was going to make up a title for it then. This is a readathon hosted by the wonderful Mercedes from Mercy's Bookish Musings. I will link her announcement video and etc. downstairs, down below. But I'm going to be talking about the books that I will be reading in order to meet the... Sorry, I was just living over there then. The prompts. It is such a lovely day today. If anything, a bit too warm, isn't it, David? Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be 24 tomorrow. We don't want that. We don't want that. We want it to be autumn now. But this this readathon runs from the 22nd of October for a week, and there are 6 prompts, 4 main prompts and then 2 bonus prompts. And I'm hoping to read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books, because one of my book covers 2 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books, because one of my book covers 2 of the prompts. So the first prompt is a Gothic or a spooky book. So I'm also taking part in the Gothic read-along this month, hosted by Jenny King. I will link her announcement video down below. And it just so happens that the book that we're supposed to be reading during the time of the Autumn Readathon is The Little Stranger, which is a Gothic and spooky, and from what I've heard, creepy as fuck book. So I'm looking forward to reading this. This also covers another prompt for later on, so I will talk about that book a bit later on, but I will be reading that. The second point is for an autumnal non-fiction, and this is a reread for me. This is a non-fiction that I've been wanting to reread for a really long time. I read it last year, absolutely loved it, and the sort of the link to it being autumn had to feel autumnal or being set in a cold country, and that is Names for the Sea by Sarah Moss. So as I said, this is a reread. It's also non-fiction November in November, so I'm going to read this towards the end of the week, and then if I don't manage to finish it, I can continue to read this into November. So this is a non-fiction book. Sarah Moss, who's written The Tidal Zone, which is also one of my favourite books. Her and her husband and 2 children in 2009 decide to move from their home in Kent up sticks and move to Iceland. So they, from their makeshift home among the half-finished skyscrapers of Reykjavik, Moss travelled to hillsides of boiling mud and volcanic craters, and to remote farms and fishing villages of the far north. Yeah, so it really covers quite a lot of the geographical area in Iceland, and also covers quite a lot in terms of like her kids going to school and her making her decision there, and then what it's like for winter, and then like some mythology and things like this. I adored this when I read it the first time. It's so beautifully written, as well as being really informative and wonderful about a country that I would love to go to. So very, very, very much looking forward to rereading that. And as I said, I'll read that into November if I don't manage to finish it in the week. The next prompt is a novel set in a cold location, and that I'm going to be reading To the Bright Edge of the World by Erwin Ivey. Now, I've read The Snow Child many years ago, actually. I read it on my Kindle, really enjoyed it. That's the only Erwin Ivey book that I've ever read. So this is I know Simon absolutely loved this, so I will read the blurb on the back. It says, Winter 1885, Lieutenant Colonel Alan Forrester accepts a mission of a lifetime to navigate Alaska's Wolverine River. It is a journey that promises to open up a land shrouded in mystery, but there's no telling what awaits Alan and his small band of men. Alan leaves behind his young wife, Sophie, newly pregnant with the child he is never expected to have. Sophie would have loved nothing more than to carve a path through the wilderness alongside Alan. What she does not anticipate is that their year apart will demand every ounce of courage of her that it does of her husband. So yeah, looking forward to that. As I said, really enjoyed The Snow Child, and looking forward to reading a bit more Erwin Ivey. It's also a beautiful name, isn't it, Erwin Ivey? And then the fourth prompt, before we get into the bonus prompts, is a historical fiction novel. So I'm going to count The Little Stranger as my historical fiction novel, because it's set in the post-war summer in rural Warwickshire. It says here, I'm aware I'm reading a lot of blurbs here, but it's because I'm not fully familiar with what's going to be in here. It says, a doctor is called to a patient at the lonely Hundreds Hall, home to the Ayres family for over 2 centuries. The Georgian house, once grand and handsome, is now in decline decline, its masonry crumbling, its gardens choked with weeds, its owners, mother, son and daughter, struggling to keep pace with a changing society. But are the heirs is haunted by something more sinister than a dying way of life? Little does Dr. Faraday know how closely and how terrifyingly their story is about to become entwined with his. So yeah, looking forward to reading that. And then the 2 bonus prompts, which I'm hoping to get to, one of which I've already started, just because it just fits one of the prompts. And the first, that is a short story collection. I'm actually currently reading Fen by Daisy Johnson. Now this fits in perfectly with Mercedes' readathon, because this is set where Mercedes is from. So this is a short story collection set all in the Fenlands, which is around the sort of Norfolk, Suffolk area, and it sort of uses like English folklore. I've really enjoyed some of the stories so far. So I think the first story was about a girl whose sister has an eating disorder, and she stops eating and eventually turns into something mythical, and that was really interesting. And then there's another one that sort of like leans towards maybe being about vampires and these girls who take men home from the local pub, and then those men go they disappear and things like that. So very much enjoying that. The next story I'm going to short story I'm going to read is called How to Fuck a Man You Don't Know. So yeah, that is the short story collection I will be reading during the Autumn Readathon. And then the last one is a short story from the perspective of a young female protagonist. Now this is a book that I tried to read on Cozy Reading Night, the first ever Cozy Reading Night last year in autumn. I didn't know it was autumn Cozy Reading Night, but it was. And that's The Girl Who Circumnavigated Fairyland in a Ship of Her Own Making by Catherine M. Valente. This is told from the perspective of a young girl. Her name is September, and she's 12, and she is from Omaha, and she's trying to get herself around Fairyland. So it's supposed to be very whimsical and cozy and wonderful. I love this front cover. It's very, very autumnal, and hopefully I will get around to reading that as well. And also, it's a children's book. It really shouldn't take me that long. So yeah, that's the other bonus one that I'll be reading. So those are the books that I'm going to be reading. Let me know if you are going to be taking part in the Autumn Readathon. Love autumn. Really always enjoy autumn anyway, but particularly this year I've just been looking out for things to do with autumn the whole time. So when David and I went on holiday last week, when we were driving down the motorway, I was just like, look at all these beautiful autumn trees and just like crisp mornings and lots of pumpkin related things like this, and warm drinks and just loveliness. So very much looking forward to the Autumn Readathon, looking forward to getting through those 6 books. I'm really hoping to read all of them. I'm aware that average is about 1 book a day, but I think I can do it. So yeah, let me know if you're joining in, let me know what you're planning on reading, and I will see you all again soon for another BookTube video.